This week, we're talking about May 22nd through the 28th. We're going to be talking about the tension between your heart and your values. As Mars transits through Leo, it forms some stressful aspects to Jupiter and the North Node in Taurus, pushing you to reflect upon your values and whether or not they resonate with your heart. Several transits with Venus in Cancer this week are urging you to reflect upon the origins of your relationships and the roots of your insecurities. Be sure to nurture yourself and those you love with kindness and caring, especially as the Sun in Gemini squaring Saturn in Pisces can create some confusion between your unconscious mind and your conscious reality.
The weekly transit.
Astrology is a language that communicates how the planets and stars influence life on Earth. I'm Scott Tajarian. I'm an interpreter of this language. Join me and my co-host Ingrid Iverson, who helps bring an even more practical look at this astral language. The weekly transit is here to bring clarity to the chaos, so you can ride the planetary waves instead of the planets riding you.
The weekly transit.
Good morning, Scott.
Hi, Ingrid.
I rushed home to record with you. And I was literally coming from Long Beach, dude. And I didn't even put two and two together until I was halfway home that I could have just went to your house maybe and we could have recorded together.
Yeah.
I'm so annoyed.
Were you coming from your parents or something, or?
No, somebody paid me to go on a morning date.
Oh, in Long Beach?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Where'd you go?
Literally nowhere, because they just were having a panic about their car, and we ended up just driving around and hanging out, talking on the couch. So we were supposed to go to like breakfast, but that didn't happen. So
okay, wow, fascinating.
But I was super annoyed. I was like halfway here, and it took like an hour to drive both ways, and I could have went and saw your new place, and that would have been fun.
I know.
Maybe we'll have to like plan for that. I was in such a panic that I forgot what was happening. Well, yeah. This retrograde, the car situation, I've taken my car to the dealer twice, so I have a rental car again. Yep. I had to get a new battery in between the two dealer trips. And now after this, I actually have to go get my car from the dealer, which they're the ones that messed it up to begin with. I had just like a regular service and I got it back and my car didn't work. So I brought it back and they were like, oh, are you using the wrong gas? Like, are you putting 91 in it? And I was like, yeah.
92?
Or whatever the highest one is.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, what gas stations are you getting it from? I'm like, I don't know, whatever I see. And they're like, oh, well, you have to buy name brand gas. Like, you're ruining your car. And I was like, well, nobody fucking told me that.
Yeah.
So, but then I took it back again. I'm like, it's still doing it. They put fuel cleaner in it. It was still not working. I brought it back. They're like, oh, actually, it was the spark plugs that we just changed. We're not like in sync or some shit. I'm like, I told you that you guys messed it up to begin with. Why would all of a sudden I get my car back? And it was such a coincidence that same day it stopped working. And then the battery died. I was just like, oh my God.
Oh my God.
The car stuff, so much travel stuff. Just so much has happened since I saw you last.
I know. You were in Pittsburgh and I haven't talked to you since then.
I talked to you after Texas, right?
Texas, yes.
Okay.
We talked about Texas.
And then we talked about my cousin coming.
Yes.
My cousin came.
Talked about you went to Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
right?
That was yes. I just got back from Pittsburgh a couple days ago.
Yeah. Yeah. So I haven't heard about that, and
Sorry. Go ahead.
Well, no, go ahead.
Oh, Pittsburgh was. I mean, it was a whirlwind. It was my best friend Erica's wedding, which the wedding itself was so beautiful, but it was like a continuation of this whole last month of just like going super hard with work. I was like, it was basically like 12-hour days since I got there of prepping and driving to the venue and picking flowers and slicing cheese for 130 people. And it was, and then we had to go back and take everything down. Like, she only hired catering for the actual dinner and one person for like cleanup for 135 person wedding.
What?
Her friends are all like in the flower industry and they just had friends come in and help. And it was stunning. It was like the most expensive looking wedding that I've been to. It was gorgeous, but it was all just all of
Okay.
our really hard work. So,
Wow.
but I
So
was just like, what
that
is?
was like your wedding gift, was working at the wedding?
Yeah, yeah, I was. I didn't even get a card. I was like, I can't even like function. I'm so tired.
Yeah.
But it was really I love working. It was just like a big production, really. Like I got to work with some of her friends doing like design stuff for the tablecloths and organizing the tables in the room, and
Mm-hmm.
just it was really a fun experience. But I
Mm.
wish I would have stayed longer. So like the best part of the trip, or like the most relaxing part where we got to connect, was like the morning that I was leaving and her other friend was leaving. We had a little picnic in the yard, and I mean, this is very fitting. Like when I see Erica, she reminds me to, because it's Taurus season now, right? What's today?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, just every time I'm with her, I'm just reminded to enjoy all of the things, like to appreciate all the things I love and to do those things for myself. So just eating really good food, wearing beautiful clothes, taking time to get ready. Like we just eat so well together. She just reminds me to
Mm-hmm.
slow down. We're picking flowers, we're making beautiful plates of food, having oysters, like,
Mm.
and every time I leave I'm like, "Oh my gosh, like she just the perfect inspiration for Taurus season." And just even like she ordered these beautiful perfumes that we were putting on, and she just loves to indulge in the material world. Like she's not frivolous with her money, but
Mm-hmm.
she doesn't want to just save her money for nothing. She wants to enjoy this moment to its fullest.
Mm.
And I I always just leave feeling like inspired to do those things for myself on a regular basis, not just because it's a special occasion. Like on her wedding day, like the morning of, everything was just running around and I was like, "Oh my god, you know what I need to do for this moment?"
Mm.
Instead of getting ready, like I need 15 minutes to get ready. My hair was already washed and dried. Like I don't really wear a lot of makeup.
Mm-hmm.
So while she was getting ready, I went to Whole Foods and I bought oysters and I made a mignonette and I made oysters for all of us. And it was
Wow.
just like a really special little moment that like I knew she would absolutely love. I was like, that was my
Mm.
little treat to remind us to, do something special on these, just the intimate moment of getting ready before the wedding and a little bit of quiet time to enjoy together.
Yes.
And her friend Bianca, like one of her friends from Vegas, also was there and got to spend some
Mm.
time with her. And it just felt really, even though it was busy, there was still these nurturing moments where we had very good food. Like we were supposed to be like loading the van, and Bianca made us food, like these burgers. And
Mm.
her soon to be husband walks in and he's like, "Erica, just shove it in your mouth. Like, we have so much to do." And she was like, "I am not shoving this burger in my mouth." She's like, "Bianca made this food and I'm going to enjoy it." She's like, "Leave me alone. I'm enjoying this hamburger and you should do the same." Like, she's always like, "We need to enjoy. This is sacred." Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, this world is just like to appreciate
Mm-hmm.
the moment of, yeah, just
Yeah.
enjoying shit.
Exactly.
So I felt
Exactly.
like it was a really nice, like, Taurus season moment with her.
Yes. And she has a lot of planets in Earth signs, doesn't she?
She's
Jenner.
Capricorn,
Capricorn, yeah.
Libra moon, Aries moon, Libra rising. I know she's Capricorn, Libra, and I think Air. I feel she's got something spicy in there, dude.
Let me
She's a
see.
little
I
firecracker.
I have her chart somewhere. Yeah. Yeah, Capricorn. Yeah, Libra moon, Aries rising. That's right. Yeah. Okay.
She's spicy, but but she's also very like balanced and a very good communicator.
Uh-huh.
Like her and her partner make a really. I would love to see their chart actually. Like they make a really good match. They're very good at communicating, or like,
Hmm.
or he's really good at communicating, and even if she gets spicy, he's still stays like very balanced.
Mm-hmm.
And then she needs a little time to recover and to come back to it. But I feel like
Hmm.
in those, like, Lucas is his name, kept saying like Ingrid's the perfect in between because Erica can just be so extra. Anyway, I feel like I'm just sometimes like the in between in some sort of moment of like irritation of Erica being like, "Why are you doing that?" And I'm like, "Erica, he's just doing his thing. What are you yelling at him for?" And like then we all start laughing, like a moment of levity to be like,
Yeah.
couples don't always like to like, no one likes to have that moment in front of somebody, but I feel like I know her. I've known her forever, so it doesn't matter to
Mm-hmm.
me. And I'm just
Yeah.
laughing at her because she gets like, she'll be like, why are you guys ganging up on me? I'm like, we're not ganging up on you. You're being mean to him. Like, you're being insane. And she'll be like, oh my God, I am. You're right.
So you're able to break the tension and give her some perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It
Cool.
was just some fun, really intimate moments. Oh my God. And so there was the wedding. And then I went to this podcast festival.
Yes.
I haven't even, yeah, I literally just got back this moment. I went yesterday morning all day. I couldn't go to the one the day before. There was like a couple things in the evening. But there was so much information. The people that hosted it were amazing. Our friend Meryl was speaking at it, which I didn't even see her speak. She was like, don't come to mine because I'll just tell you all the stuff because there was like overlaps of different speakers.
Yeah.
One of the writers and illustrators from Family Guy was the main speaker at the end of the day.
Oh, cool.
All the speakers were just really inspiring, very personal. It was kind of like a smaller, more intimate event.
How many people were there?
I feel like each room probably had like 30 people, so maybe like 60 to 100, maybe 100 people at the most.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it felt really like, and then afterwards, like, I felt like it was for the price I would have paid, or actually you bought me a ticket, but I was like, I would have paid twice as much money to have twice as long with each person. Like, I feel like each little thing got cut short. I was like, oh, I want like more information, like, and I wanted more time to talk to the people there. And I was like, next time you have this, you should do like 2 full days. And I would have, people would be happy to pay a lot more for this ticket because I feel like it was so valuable.
So you felt like you learned a lot.
Oh my gosh, yes. And then I feel like I made a couple of friends, I think, which was
Cool.
really fun. Like they were like, oh, do you want to go have a drink afterwards? I was like, yes. I'm so excited. So I brought Gio with me. He got a ticket because we were supposed to do food stuff Friday, and I forgot that the podcast thing was happening. And I was like, well, why don't you just come to the podcast event? So he came with me and just met some really nice people, very intelligent, very hardworking, just a really warm community. And I've been really looking for that. So there's another event in June, or I mean, September, I think. There's some sort of meetup that you should, if you want to come, you should come to it in LA. Yeah. And then I think in September, there's one in Salt Lake, and I definitely want to go.
Okay. Yeah.
Like I don't know why I was just so shocked. I feel like I learned so much, and I was just really excited to like make friends in that world.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to hear about what you learned. What's that?
And it's a very Gemini energy. Yes. Like it was very curious. Like, so everyone just loved asking questions and learning about each other. And yeah.
Cool. That's
right
interesting.
In line with the seasons.
Yeah. I'm curious to know when the one in September is, if it's in like Virgo season where it's, another Mercury sign.
I think it is. I think it is. That would be great. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm curious to hear about what you learned. And
we'll have to. Yeah. There's not enough. I feel like this last month, there's not enough time in every day. It's been.
It's the retrograde.
I have to go get the car, and then I have to edit today.
Yeah.
I'm just like, how? Just how?
Yeah. Yeah. There's not enough hours. Everything is crunchy right now.
It's crunchy, and it's like crunch. It feels like crunch time as well.
Crunch time. Yeah, exactly. Like the clock is ticking. Like we're literally recording this today, and you're editing it, and we're going to release it tonight.
That might be the first time that's happened in 3 years, possibly.
Maybe it's happened before. Maybe once or twice.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. Yeah. It's been a lot of episodes.
I know.
So
we were supposed to write, I guess, the name of our podcast and put it on the wall. And then I guess you were supposed to put like an accomplishment along with that, but I didn't get the memo. So I just wrote the name and put it on the wall. And they're like, oh yeah, like you should go see what everyone's accomplishments are. And I was like, I didn't write anything. And I was starting to think like, what are our like latest accomplishments? And I mean, for 3, it's our 3-year, we just passed our 3-year mark. So that was pretty exciting. And then also I still just starting this new, I guess, YouTube and some social media graphics and some new design stuff together, and getting in getting the book in some stores.
Yep.
Especially the Spellbound Sky. That was kind of like a highlight for both of us.
Yes. We've crossed over 150 episodes. This is our 163rd episode. This episode should push us over 300,000 plays.
Yes.
So that's another accomplishment.
Thank you. Thank you.
Crossed.
Thank you everyone for listening and for watching if you watch us. And there was just all these moments in this conference where you were supposed to access like what like is fulfilling to you.
Mhm.
And I was trying to figure out what that is. Like this feels easy just talking to you, but then there's like the editing and all this, the uploading and the communication behind the scenes and the PDFs and the graphics. And I'm like, it was like, what are you good at, but what do you like to do? And then what just feels easy and fulfilling. And like the highlights are definitely messages. Like when we get a bunch of DMs, like they were talking about what is the metrics of a successful podcast. Like, are you just scrolling and looking at the numbers? Like, which is what I usually do. But one of the biggest things that's a measure for if it went well or if we had a topic that people really resonated with is we get a lot of DMs on Instagram, especially. And those are always really exciting, especially when they're in like the secret folder, like you've never heard from that person before. And they're like, hi, there's like a person that you're not connected to in any way is writing you a message about sitting with you for an hour and listening to what you and Scott have to say. And that feels like really special to hear how people are using astrology and that it's helping them and it's a part of their day feels really nice. Like those were one of the things I took away as like a highlight to remind myself of like the joy parts of it, because there was a lot of work involved, but the reward of connecting with people is really exciting. And then even one of the things is just being a guest on someone else's podcast, like when we did that one with Chelsea, right?
Yeah. Chelsea. Yeah. Expanded.
Like that was really fun, just connecting with people. I mean, I like connecting with you, but I connect with you all the time. So when I, the new energy of like other people being curious about the subject and about us that makes it extra fun for me.
Yes, I love that. Yeah, it fuels your Gemini rising.
Oh, it does.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I don't want to go on too long. I feel like I have so much to share with you that we'll have to do off the podcast about stuff I learned and all that.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to hearing all about it.
Before we get into the week, would you like to thank our sponsors?
Yes, let's thank our sponsors. Indeed. We want to thank Jenny, Jessica, Kendra, Larry, Jasmine, Brenna, Barbara, Janelle, Vincent and Michelle, Clarissa, Nicole, Aline, Cassie, Merdinas, Brooke, Ricky, Amaranth, Annie, Amber, Deborah, Haley, Janine, Carrie, and Catherine.
Thank you all so much for listening to the podcast and for supporting us. It allows us to spend more time doing what we love, sharing the planets and stars with you. And if you're new to the podcast or you want to get the most out of the podcast, we're on all the platforms, but you can also now watch us on YouTube or you can watch us on Spotify. And the best way to learn is to get The Basics of Astrology, the book that we wrote. The link is in the show notes. It's all the visuals and translations of what we're looking at here on the screen. And if you're not following along on the video, if you go to the website, theweeklytransit.com, we cover each day of the week there. There's a little snippet of what we talk about, and then the journal prompts as well as the visuals for learning the language of astrology. So that's all the signs and symbols of astrology. It's all color-coded. The book is like a glossary, and yeah, it's meant to do a little of each of those.
Yeah.
And then if you want to support the podcast, if you go to the show notes, there's a support link. You can donate $1, $5, or $10 a month. And if you don't have financial means and you still want to support, you can write us a review. You can rate us 5 stars. You can rate our book on Amazon. You can go to YouTube. Even if you don't watch us on YouTube, go subscribe, because once we get to 1,000 subscribers, they start to monetize our channel. What else? Anything else, Scott?
What else? This is the last week of May, so if you haven't listened to my interview with Raya in the Raya Sun Astrology podcast, we talked about the whole month of May, so that gives like a broader overview look at May. So if you haven't listened to that, Raya is an amazing astrologer. And it was a lot of fun for me to go on her show and talk about astrology. And the link is in the show notes.
Our stuff kind of expires after the week in a way. Like sometimes I'll go listen to last week, but like I still think that the whole month of May is still pretty relevant. Like it's nice to reflect on what has been happening and how we can learn from what we've been going through for the month. So if you haven't listened to it, I would still go listen to the month, even at the end of the month. I think it's a nice way to reflect.
Well, even if on this podcast, like right now, this episode, we're going to talk about Jupiter in Taurus. We're going to talk about Mars in Leo. We're going to talk about the Sun in Gemini, Venus in Cancer, Chiron in Aries, the North Node in Taurus, Uranus in Taurus. We're going to talk about Saturn in Pisces. So, you can go back to any of our previous episodes where we're talking about those planets, and particularly when they're moving into a new sign, and it still gives you information that is applicable to right now. So I would encourage anyone that is listening for the first time, let's say, to go back to the older episodes when we're talking about planets that are in certain signs right now. When they're transiting into the sign, go back and listen to those episodes for even more insight into what it means.
I love that.
Yeah.
Are you ready to move into the week?
Yes, let's do it. So this week is the week of May 22nd to the 28th. We begin with, hold on one second here. I think I need
Looks like I don't have a shirt on.
You're wearing a shirt?
Down here, I'm wearing a shirt. Looks like I'm wearing nothing. I'm like, do I chop my head off so I don't look naked?
No, who cares? You're fine. Oh my God, you're so funny. Okay, so here we are, Monday, May 22nd. The Sun in Gemini, sextile Mars in Leo. So the Sun, the giver of light, life, and vitality, in the mutable air sign, symbolized by the twins, forming a sextile, a positive aspect to the god of war, the planet of action, aggression, and conflict, in the fixed fire sign, symbolized by the lion, Mars, which is also forming a square, a stressful aspect to Jupiter, the god of thunder, lord of justice, the planet of luck and expansion, in the fixed earth sign, symbolized by the bull, Taurus. So, thinking about these alignments today, I really like the alignment between the Sun and Mars. There's a lot of energy, there's a lot of power and passion. We are being encouraged with Mars in Leo to really act from our heart, to have the heart of a lion. And when you think of the Sun, the planetary ruler of Leo, aligning with Mars in Leo, but the Sun is in Gemini. Gemini is a curious sign. So this is an opportunity to ask the questions that maybe you've been afraid to ask, to really put yourself out there in a heart-opened way, and express yourself creatively, perhaps in the way that you're asking the question. The challenge is the Taurus energy of Jupiter squaring off with Mars. So there is like some sort of tension between what's in your heart and what you value. Maybe you actually desire more within your heart than you're giving yourself credit for in reality. So maybe this is a good day to ask questions of other people, to see what they value, to see what's in their heart, and see like, well, this person, I can tell what's in their heart is similar to what's in my heart, and they're elevating their values in a way that I'm not. So maybe I can learn something from them to elevate my own values so that I can get what I want and satisfy my heart.
I'm wondering if another translation could be that you're being more outspoken with your heart in your questions, and people are just being a little more vulnerable and courageous, And then maybe whatever you hear, whatever the feedback is from these questions you're asking, maybe does not align with your values. So then there is some sort of maybe like crack in your material security or financial stability based on whatever it is you learn.
Mm-hmm.
Where
Yes.
maybe you're like, oh, I'm gonna have to change something. There's some sort of a crack in the values or financial
Totally.
security.
It's like if you're asking a question and then somebody is responding from their heart and you realize that
You don't align.
you don't align. Yeah, there's something off about your values and them. So yes. Yeah, it's kind of I feel like it's a minor challenge even though it's a square just because it's Jupiter and Jupiter has its own sort of intensity, but it's more of a buoyant intensity. And so I feel like the tension that comes with Jupiter is indulgence and excessiveness. So maybe you might find yourself, if somebody is expressing their heart in a way and you're like, well, I want that too, but maybe it's too extravagant for you. So, but you might not see that note and say like, you know what? I don't care. Like this person's spending a ton of money over here. I'm going to spend money there too. Even though I don't have the money, I'm going to just put it all on my credit card, even though this person has the money to spend.
So maybe that's like an internal conflict with yourself where you're like, maybe your values aren't aligning, but you're not listening to yourself.
Could be something like that. So there
I mean, Leo's
needs
very showy.
It's very showy. Exactly. It's dramatic. And so it's like, wow, look at the dress overspending, like Jupiter aligning with Mars and Leo. Yeah, there could be some serious extravagance that is happening here. Indulgence, like just feeling like, I don't care, I'll pay for it later. I'm going to make the money.
It's hard when you get into those moods because I feel like I can do that. Like I feel like I'm pretty frugal, but then I'll just have like a moment where I'll just be like, you know what? I'm gonna fucking buy this. I'm gonna just eat this. Like I'm gonna eat out and like I'm not gonna worry about it because like I need to experience something nice. Like I've been constricted for too long and then it all kind of like explodes and I'm like, fuck, whatever that money is that I spent all in one day or something could have been broken up over the last 2 weeks of being like, oh, you could have just been doing nice things for yourself every day instead of feeling restricted and then being like, I need to like do something exciting and like liberating.
Yes, exactly. So it's interesting when you have those impulses to look at your chart and see what's transiting where, is something transiting through your second house. Sometimes I feel like when the moon is transiting through your second house, which is where the moon is in your chart, Ingrid, but when the moon transits through there, that can create an emotional urge to spend in order to satisfy whatever it is you're feeling or your lack of feeling. Yeah, exactly.
That money.
Yeah, exactly.
I need something shiny.
Yeah. So moving on to Tuesday, May 23rd, we're talking about the moon, the planet of emotions, in the cardinal water sign symbolized by the crab, which is ruled by the moon, conjunct with Venus, Lady Luck, the goddess of love and beauty, the planet of relationships. So the moon and Venus together at the same degree, 17 degrees in Cancer. So this is bringing some emotional sensitivity to your roots, your upbringing, your childhood, the ones who raised and nurtured you, your ancestors, and the origins of your relationships. Like, what are the roots of my relationships? Where do they stem from? Why am I friends with the people that I'm friends with? Why is my lover, my business partner, why are they the way that they are? Who do they remind me of from my past? And what is the emotional effect that I'm experiencing in these relationships? Am I feeling sad or lonely, or am I able to nurture those that I'm in relationship with? Do I feel nurtured by those that I'm in relationship with? Am I being kind and caring? Are my partners being kind and caring to me? This is the vibe that we're going for today on Tuesday.
So is this any discomfort, or is just we're just taking stock of these relationships in our life and what they mean to us and where they're coming from?
Yeah, I mean
So
there could be some discomfort
is
if
it in conjunction?
it's a conjunction.
Conjunction.
So, which is a very powerful aspect. So, it's urging you to take a strong emotional look at your relationships, at where they come from. How did I even end up, how did I attract this person into my life? And it's so often when you're looking at the astrology of the people that you're in relationship with, that they reflect your parents
Oh my
or your
gosh.
siblings.
I feel like
Yes.
it's pretty I feel like women it really depends. I feel like, this girl I have befriended at work, like she has some issues around intimate relationships and picking partners that aren't really aligned for her, and I'm just like, "Oh my gosh, like this is me. This is also my sister. This is also my mom." I'm just like, "Damn, like these are such reflections of like I'm choosing someone and now I'm seeing it in them and I'm like, "Oh, that's a reflection of me and that's a reflection of my childhood."
Mhm.
And, talking to someone else about their issues, it's so much easier to see it clearly when you're looking at someone else that you care about, and you're
Mhm.
able to kind of pick it apart and be like, oh, like I'm not going to be mad at her for making these choices, but it's easier to give some clarity and be like, oh, this is why you're making these decisions. Like maybe you didn't get this in your childhood, or maybe it reflects your parents' relationship. And
Mhm.
it can be sad, but you don't have to be mad at yourself or think you're stupid. It's just like that's what we literally learned. Like we're just copying what we learned, and it's comfortable to our nervous system to replicate this, even though it might not be the best
Yes,
for us. And so I think that's,
exactly.
at least in that particular friend, I really see that. And then,
Yes.
I mean, in intimate relationships, obviously, my fucking dad comes in there. Like, I'm just like, they're nothing like him. And I'm like, oh, wait, they're all like a year later, 2 years later, 5 years later. I'm like, oh, yeah, they're so much like my dad. Like, I love my dad, but also like all of the things I don't like about my dad are in this person. Like, this
Mhm.
is crazy. How
Exactly.
did this happen? But it's just
Yes.
like starting to have less anger about it and be more
Mhm.
accepting and just use the clarity to make better choices in the future.
Yes.
Slow down when picking a partner,
Mm.
communicate better.
Yes, being like the crab. The crab is subtle. It's moving. It's feeling. It's sensing everything. And this is where the nurturing and kindness and caring comes in. It's like, how can I be nurturing to myself and to my partner? How can I be kind and caring to myself and to my partner? How can
Yeah, I
I?
love that question. Just
Yes.
I feel like I'm just a nurturing person, but
Yes, because you're a Cancer moon.
I never sit and think like, how can I be like nurturing, or am I even doing what is nurturing to that person? I know what I need, so I'm going to do what I need for someone else, but that's not always what they need.
Mm.
So I'm
Mm.
like, wait, how do I be nurturing to, like, I feel like that's an important question that people should be asking each other that are in any
Yes.
sort of intimate relationship. Like, how can I be nurturing to you? What is actually good for you?
Yeah.
Like some
What
people
is
need more
nurturing for
space.
you?
Some people want someone to cook for them. Somebody wants
Mhm.
somebody to leave them the fuck alone till they like everybody's so
Or it could be
different.
all of the above. I
Hmm.
mean, it depends on what your mood is. And that's what Cancer is all about. It's all about your mood.
Oh, and it's very moody.
Yes, exactly. So this could be a very moody day. And all the days where the moon is in Cancer. So that's
That
Monday,
crabby little
Tuesday.
cranky
Yeah,
little crab.
exactly. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday could be some cranky days. Here we are, Wednesday, May 24th. We got Venus again in Cancer forming a challenging square with Chiron, the wound, and the
Oh
ancient
boy.
wisdom that is unlocked through healing that wound in the cardinal fire sign, symbolized by the ram, Aries. So this is really digging you into facing your fears in your relationships, facing your insecurities in your relationships. What are you most afraid of as a partner? Like is there something that you're afraid about or that you're insecure about within yourself as a partner? What insecurities do you have in your relationship? Is there something that your partner is doing that is making you feel insecure? How can you face these insecurities and fears courageously. That is the energy that we're working with today.
I mean, just in response to the question of what was the question at the end? How do you face your insecurity?
Yes. How can you face your insecurities in your close personal relationships? And also, where do these insecurities stem from? Because the insecurities that you have in your relationship right now are probably insecurities that you had in your relationship with your parents.
The best thing to do is to say all of those things, like say everything you just said. It's like, I'm feeling insecure about this, this, and that, like calling it out loud to your partner.
Yeah.
Like, I feel insecure when this happened. And then answering the question because of this in my childhood or this in my past relationship. And just getting it out in the clear so the person knows you're feeling insecure. It's not like they need to do any, like sometimes we need someone to pacify our insecurities. We expect them to do something, but it's not really on them to do something. There was like this example, I was out with the guy that I'm seeing, and I just felt really like ugly and crummy, and my hair was like, I just didn't feel ready or cute, and I was just feeling insecure. And he was like, why do you need to go home? Like, why? And I was just like, oh, I just feel ugly right now. And he was like, what? You always look like that. And it,
oh my God.
Remember?
Yes.
He was just like, I'm so confused. This is what you look like. Like, your hair's always in a ponytail and you're always wearing sweats. Like, that was my issue.
God.
I was like, I just feel, and I wanted someone to fix my issue, but like the issue was mine that I made up in my own head. And it was just like a funny moment because, he was like, I was like, oh my God, are you saying I like look like shit all the time? And he was like, no, that's not, like, that's not what I said at all. I'm just saying that this is just what you look like. Why are you having a fit right now? Like, nothing has happened. This is what you look like every day. Like,
yeah.
And
he could have worded it in a different way that was maybe more sensitive.
Oh, for
which is that Cancer energy is like being sensitive to somebody's sensitivities if they're feeling insecure, rather than say,
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But, for some reason, it just made me start laughing because he's just kind of like that. Like, he's very just matter of fact. It wasn't supposed to hurt my feelings. And then he was confused about how it could have hurt my feelings. But I was like, really, I was feeling, and then I just said it. I was like, Michael, like, I was feeling insecure, and then I was looking for someone to like fix it, and then instead you just were like saying just the opposite of what I needed, And it's just like sometimes we want someone to fix it, and maybe they do or don't have the capacity to fix it. But really, the issue is that we're having an insecurity, and that's about our past. It has nothing to do with anyone else. They didn't do anything. He didn't do anything. Like, I was the one who was having my own internal battle of stuff that he didn't know about. And then I'm like, oh, this is what was happening. And yeah, just being able to call it out and be like, oh, I was feeling insecure because of whatever.
Yes.
And I feel like that kind of just, it takes the power away when you start to talk about it. Because
I think that's
obviously
part
doesn't
of,
think I'm ugly. Like,
yeah, no, exactly. That's why, yeah, he's happy. You're an ugly person. That's why he's with you. I mean, come on. But that's the Aries energy. Is the authenticity about just calling it out. I love how you bring that up. Call it out. Like, this, I'm insecure about this. To admit that you're insecure about something actually takes courage.
It does. It totally does.
Yeah. So this could be a day.
It's also like a vulnerable moment. Like, once you open up, it's like, oh, well, I didn't know that's what you were feeling. I thought you were having a fit. Like, your hair's in a ponytail. Why would that be an issue in your hair? Like, I didn't know you were just feeling insecure. Like, that's the bigger issue that you weren't actually saying. Like, I didn't know I was supposed to be like doing something to make you feel better when nothing was. Yeah. But yeah, once you call it out, I feel like then whoever's around you can be like, oh, okay. They're not going to take whatever is personal that's happening either. They're going to be like, oh, they were just not feeling good about themselves, so that's why.
Well, it could also be
adjust accordingly.
Yes, it could also be you being direct with him. This is what I need from you right now. I'm feeling insecure, and this is what I need from you.
Well, before this happened in the car, I basically was like, oh, I should have went and got ready, and he was like, oh, I'll take you home to get ready if you want, and then I said no.
Right.
So he was like, what? I said I'd fix it, but you didn't want to fix it, and now you're panicking. I don't know what's even going on right now.
Right.
And that was me that could have been me taking care of myself in the moment, being like, oh, actually, like, yeah, I do want to go home and get ready. I could have just asked for what I needed.
Yes.
But he even offered it.
Yes.
And I didn't take it.
Exactly. Yeah. So having the courage to be direct about what you need. Okay.
And what's happening on
Thursday?
Yeah.
Thursday, May 25th. Mars in Leo again, aligning now in a stressful square with the North Node, the soul's purpose, the karmic pathway of the soul in Taurus. So this is, again, similar to that alignment on Monday with Mars and Jupiter. Now Mars is aligning with another planet in Taurus, or not planet, but key astrological point. The North Node isn't a planet, but it's this space, this place out in space, out in outer space that signifies the karmic pathway of your soul. And so Mars is driving you there, and it's driving you there maybe in an uncomfortable way where you have to look at the action that you're taking, the way that it stems from your heart, and is that action, is it reflective of your true self-worth and what you value? If not, and you see that it's off, like maybe I need to be asking for more. Maybe I need to expect more from myself. Maybe I need to push myself more, to ask for more, to say that I deserve this.
I mean,
and that can be uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like for sure the answer is likely to be, there's going to be something in there that's going to be a no. I'm not valuing myself in the way that I should be. And that
Exactly.
is uncomfortable to recognize, like, why am I not, like, seeing my friend Erica and being like, oh my gosh, like, why don't I use my nice perfume and use my fancy soap or my fancy whatever I have at home that I'm like saving for like a special occasion. She's like, every day's a special occasion. Just use all of your beautiful things, wear your expensive robe, wear your fancy fucking heels, like whatever the thing is, just wear it at your house, like use it up, like enjoy it. And this type of reflection, it doesn't feel so uncomfortable, but it's just kind of a shocker to be like, wait, why am I not doing that? I value that. What am I doing? It's like a reality check of being like, oh, I do need to value myself. I do need to spend money on things that I value and are important to me.
Yes.
Kind of a wake up call, that action, the Mars energy of like doing something about it.
Yes, exactly. So really recognizing that I do value this. So why don't I enjoy this? Is that what you're saying? Like that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, why am I not doing the things that I love?
Yes. How are you holding yourself back?
Yes.
How are you holding yourself back?
That's it.
And this is an alignment that is going to stick with us a little bit here, because as you see, as we move to Friday, May 26th, it's still there. But we're joined by Venus in Cancer, forming a positive sextile to Uranus, the primordial sky god, the planet of revolution, rebellion, innovation, independence, and the unexpected, which is also in Taurus. So thinking about Uranus in Taurus aligning with Venus in Cancer, like what are the roots of my values that are unique to me? And they don't necessarily come from my parents or my childhood or like kids on the playground when I was a kid. Like this is something that is unique to me. This is what makes me an individual. And then you add that Leo piece, that's your heart. And your heart is very unique to you. So how can I embrace or encourage my originality in my relationships? How can you embrace or encourage your originality in your relationships, your independence? What makes you unique? What is it about what you value that you're bringing to your relationships? Maybe it's something that you've always brought to your relationships. And thinking about Cancer or Venus in Cancer, Cancer being the past, Venus being relationships, and then Uranus is individuality. It's what makes you unique. Taurus is values. So what are the unique values that you bring that you've always brought to your relationships? Like, I'm the person that, in a relationship that does this or does that. I'm the funny one, or I'm the really passionate one, or I'm the one that helps drive the partner, to their success. What is it that you bring to the table that is unique to you and valuable to others that you're in relationship with?
Is Uranus also revolution?
It is. And I think,
So
but just before to stop you, because I'm just thinking
yeah,
about Erica, and
yeah.
like you were just saying that like Erica helps you ground in and really that's maybe something that she has always brought to not just her relationship with you,
Oh, to
but all her
everybody,
relationships, where like that's why
100%.
people are friends with her, because she helps keep them grounded, helps them appreciate the material, enjoy their food, enjoy the senses, all those sorts of things with her Capricorn earth energy.
I love that. That's so true. Like all her community of friends is very art, very creative centered. So like she got all these beautiful gifts that people handmade her, like
Hmm.
art, like food. Somebody made home like handmade charcuterie for this wedding.
Hmm.
I'm just like the people she gravitates towards, I think, are also people that really appreciate that material thing, and she definitely brings it everywhere she goes. Just the flowers, the all of the sensuality stuff, like
She inspired you to do the oysters.
100%.
Yeah, it wasn't like it was her idea, but because you were with her, you're like, oh,
Yes.
this would be a great thing.
Hmm.
Yeah, I love
So
it.
maybe being able to look at ourselves and reflect on how what we bring to the table
Mm-hmm.
that's
Mm-hmm.
different than everyone else. That
Exactly.
maybe like the idea of the revolution, like you said, like how does it shift other people's energy when you are there? What do you bring to them that they don't have without you?
I love that. How do you shift other people's energy? That's key right there. When you think of shifting other people's energy, you want to shift it in a positive way. You
And
want to
like I
elevate
think
them.
like my friend Gio, I think he's just very passionate, very excited, very like loves to just gas people up and get them excited about whatever it is that they're passionate about. He just loves to love on you and make you
Mm-hmm.
feel good. And like when I think of you, I think of like gathering my energy and like slowing down, being like reflective, and like you're very appreciative, and it's a much more like soothing energy. Like
Mm-hmm.
especially when I'm having a panic, like you're just like, Ingrid, let's take some deep breaths. Why don't you just lay on the floor for a few minutes? Like gather ourselves. Like, that's just such a nice reminder. Like you're very that Taurus energy
Mm-hmm.
that you
Mm-hmm.
have. It's just
Mm-hmm.
sinking down into like appreciating just being
Mm-hmm.
on earth, like a much more grounding presence. So all of these three people have much different, and that's inspiring. That
Mm-hmm.
inspires me to take care of myself. When you're like, Ingrid, no, like we'll start 15 minutes late, eat, take care of yourself, get some water. I'm like, okay. Scott's like, okay, everything's gonna be okay. Scott is here.
I love it. Well, you stimulate me, and you spurn me on and encourage me to try new things, and of course, like just keeping me on point on the podcast. Otherwise, I would ramble on for 45 minutes about one planet. And so you're always so great at queuing up and keeping things moving. So, yes, it's a good balance between us. So, moving on to Saturday, May 27th, the sun in Gemini is aligning in a stressful square with Saturn, the god of wealth and time, the planet of restriction, responsibility, hard work, achievement, and authority, in the mutable water sign symbolized by the fish, Pisces. So, this is mutable air, Gemini, sun squaring off with Saturn, mutable water. Yes, Saturn, mutable water, Pisces. So this is really, this is one of these challenging alignments where it's like there's the fantasy and there's the facts. And how can we bring those two together. Like, what is the fantasy and what is the facts? It's like, I feel like you've always brought this up in the past, where it's like, if you're thinking about, like, well, I know this person feels this way about me because they've shown me this and they've shown me that and all these different things. But then if you actually ask them, you actually realize that no, there is a different, it's not exactly the way that you think. Like, for instance, like we were talking about you and your man, where you're like, what'd you say? He's like, I don't feel good. I don't look good. And he's like, you look the way that you always do. And so the fantasy is that he thinks I'm unattractive. Like, why would he say that? But it's like, when you ask him and you get clarity, which is the Gemini, then you realize that no, that's not where he's coming from. He's thinking that you look great because
you
you
look great
always
all the
look
time.
great.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So this can be a very, confusing time with the sun in Gemini, squaring Saturn in Pisces. So you really want to commit to doing the work, to asking the questions in order to gain clarity and ultimately end up at compassion for yourself, empathy for the one that you're communicating with. These could be some challenging days with communication, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, when the sun is squaring Saturn. So slow down, take your time, make sure that you're connecting the fantasy with facts.
I'm also thinking the Pisces energy is your subconscious, where all your psychological baggage lives. So it's like some shit might get stirred up in there, where it's like you're reacting or answering, like, whatever your answers to these questions and curiosity, it's like it's coming from your psychological baggage. So just being mindful that, like, whatever is coming up is probably or almost always like based on our past. So maybe we're reacting to not whatever's happening now, but something from that's hiding in those
10 years
corners.
ago. Yeah. 20 years ago, this happened to me. And ever since then, this is how things always happen. And everyone's always trying to gang up on me or whatever.
I don't know if it's like society or just moving too fast or just being insane, but like I remember somebody telling me that they thought I was a know-it-all, and for some reason that like really hurt my feelings. And so I don't know if this is related, but I was trying to think of, I have a lot of filler words. Sometimes I will say, instead of saying on Sunday, you should pick up your journal and, reflect. I'll say, I think you should, I think maybe, and I think that this issue might have stemmed from being like, oh, I don't want to feel like I'm telling somebody what to do. Like, I know everything. So I'll like diminish myself in my words by being like, oh, I think it could be something like this, and make it a little softer and a little more like, oh, I don't know, a suggestion, which is annoying. Like, I don't notice it so much until I listen to myself back on the podcast. I'm like, why did I say I think? Just say what you want to say. I'm not demanding anyone do anything, but just being a little less soft with how I present myself, because I think it's annoying. I'm like, just say the thing already. Why are you going to say that you're about to say something? So I don't know. I think it's always very interesting to hear how these things come out in my language. And I'm like, maybe it came from when I had like that weird argument with my friend who thought I was a know-it-all. Like, or it could have come from a million other things, but.
Well, that's one, and there was probably some times before that led to that point. And there's probably been times after that have solidified that interaction and that feeling that you have about yourself that you just have from that one memory. But it's like you've been conditioned and reconditioned through experiences after that are similar to the one that you had that you can really remember. And so when you look at Sunday, May 28th, we're still looking here, the sun squaring Saturn. This is also, it's about being curious with yourself. Why am I this way? Why do I have these insecurities? Why am I feeling guilt, shame, regret, blame? What is the root of my psychological baggage? And when you add in Venus in Cancer, aligning with the moon in Virgo, the mutable earth sign symbolized by the Virgin, we're taking a very critical analytical look at our relationships. Then you add Saturn in Pisces squaring the sun in Gemini. You have the relationships, the critical analytical look at our relationships and how our partners make us feel or how we make them feel. And then you think about anything that you might be feeling guilty about. Like, well, they said I made them feel bad. I said these things that hurt their feelings. Now I'm a bad person. I hate myself. I always do this, I just run my mouth and I say things that hurt people's feelings, and I just need to shut up and not say anything and never talk again. And so rather than doing that, just having some compassion for yourself that, where does that come from? Mm-hmm. That one time that person said that one thing to me and it stuck. And now I just always think of it. I remember it. How come we remember some things from our childhood but forget other things?
I know. I'm sure it's mostly just the highlights or like the negative things. And they say negative emotions stick like 10 times, or like a negative review or a negative moment sticks with you like 10 times more than a positive one. So it's just like we're cherry picking the worst parts to obsess on. That's just like our nature. And then, we're on Sunday, right?
Yeah.
So there's a Virgo in the moon in Virgo energy is being critical of our emotions. So maybe we're taking a look at it and we're really analyzing, like, why are we the way that we are? What are these things from our past that are now affecting our current relationships and our emotions?
Yes. Analyzing it and asking yourself the question, why am I this way? Where does this stem from?
And it's not like a magic ticket. Like, once you have the answer to the question, once you answer the question, it's not like it just immediately goes away, but the awareness of it can linger. And I think just that slight shift in awareness to be like, oh, it's not this moment that's bothering me. It's not this somebody left the shoes by the front door and they didn't put them away and now I fucking want to rip their head off because they don't care about me. Just something ridiculous that we make up, and we're like, oh, that's based on my whole childhood. That's why I reacted like a lunatic over nothing. Because it was a buildup of, the last 20 or 30 years of our life. You're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Maybe I can, and then communicating that, being like, hey, just so you know, I know I freaked out about the shoes. Really wasn't about the shoes. I was having an episode based on my past. And they're like, oh, that makes sense. Okay, next time, like, how do we do it differently? Just know that, like, I just put my shoes there because I'm fucking tired. And not one thought in my head is like, I don't care what they think. I'm going to irritate them. Like, I swear to God, one time my dad was like, yeah, your mom puts your shoes there unconsciously on purpose to piss me off. And I was like, Dad, that's literally insane. Like, you're having your own fucking episode because I promise you that's not what's going on. She's secretly sabotaging you. That sounds crazy.
Yeah.
You're having it's based on your past.
Yes. But when you have that awareness of why you're getting so irritated about something so small, then you can go back into the past and be there for your younger self. Treat your younger self like you would treat somebody else that is not you, that's younger, and be kind to yourself. Be caring, be nurturing, be compassionate.
Yes. It goes a long way. It goes a long way when we're compassionate to ourselves for existing and having emotions that are uncomfortable.
Yes.
It's much easier to do. Well, not always, but sometimes it's easier to do for someone else than to do for ourselves. But to remind a reminder to ourselves to be compassionate and be gentle.
Yes.
Life is uncomfortable and it fucking sucks and it's annoying and you're gonna like get pissed off.
Exactly. Well, you know what we forgot, Ingrid? But you're gonna be excited about it.
The time markers?
But
the questions.
Oh, the questions. Yeah. You can always say the time markers at the beginning when we do the intro. So,
Do we
but
want to
yeah,
do
the
a
questions.
question?
Yeah,
A
do
question?
do
Okay.
some questions. Yeah, I sent you some.
So we have R.A. Wilson 711. They said they love the eclipse views. It helps and makes others feel normal. Everyone has a different view, and it's really our own view and decision. Just like our charts, it's there, but it's just in how we use it. I love that. It's a great
Awesome.
I
Thank
guess it wasn't
you.
a question, but I love hearing that.
Yes, we appreciate the positive feedback. Thank you, Rob Wilson, 711.
Okay, somebody wants us to release Shauna Moe wants us to release the theme song on Spotify. They love it. It's in the works. When Chris has some time, we'll put it out there in the world.
Awesome. That's so cool. I love that. Thank you, Shauna Moe.
We have Shalia Andres. Hello. I have my Saturn in Aries in the 11th house, but in sidereal, I have it in Pisces.
Sidereal.
Oh, I was like, what the fuck is that? Sidereal. But and I still don't know what that is. In sidereal, I have it in Pisces. Does it mean I'm also having my Saturn return now and will continue when it changes to Aries? Thank you. So what is sidereal?
So sidereal is like that is the calculation of the planets and stars as they use it in like Vedic astrology. And so in sidereal, it's in Pisces, but in the way that we use it, it's in Aries, which means you're going to have your Saturn return when it's in Aries. And when it's in Aries, in the sidereal, it will be in Pisces. Does that make sense? So it's you're not having your Saturn return right now, Shalia. You're going to have it when it's in Aries, because when it's in Aries, in the sidereal, it will be in Pisces. So it's not now, it's later.
Okay,
amazing. I hope that's helpful.
I have Lady Beta. She wants to know, when you say key astrological points, what are you specifically looking for?
That is, key astrological points are key points that aren't planets, like the North Node, the midheaven, the ascendant. Those are key astrological points. They're not planets, so I'm not calling them planets. They're just key points. So if you have something aligning with your midheaven, with your ascendant, with your North Node, that is powerful.
Chiron, is that one?
Chiron, yeah, sure. Though it's not like recognized as a planet, it's also just not a space in the sky. It is a mass. It's an asteroid that is orbiting around the sun.
Okay,
so whereas like the North Node, like the midheaven is just a point in the sky, and the ascendant is a point. And the North and South Node are points in the sky. They're not any sort of physical body.
So where Chiron, that's different.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess you could call it that because it's not officially a planet, but I still refer to it as a planet.
Yeah, because it's more like a planet.
Yeah, because it's there. It's a mass.
Shall we do one more?
Sure.
Is there any way, this is from Wes Meeker, who I think they've sent us another good question. I think we answered one of their questions before.
Yeah.
Is there any way to see when a person will pass away in their chart, or are there any transits to look for that would predict major illnesses or death?
Well, I don't like to predict when people are going to die. I mean, who knows? Though, of course, if you listen to the Uncharted Territories with Shara Prophet, that's what we're doing, is we're looking at public figures who have passed over, and we're looking at where the planets were when they were born and where the planets were transiting when they died. And so there are certain indications. It doesn't mean that if you're having this transit, you're going to die. But like, for instance, if Pluto is squaring Pluto, you might feel like you're going to die. And you are meant to, there's part of you that's meant to die, that's meant to to no longer be carried forward into your physical reality. So if you are fighting that transformation, it might lead to a literal death. I also always find it interesting, like for instance, this last week, Jim Brown, the famous football player and activist, passed away. He is a Aquarius sun, and he died when the sun was in Taurus. And so Aquarius is fixed air, Taurus is fixed earth. I often see that when people are dying, it happens when the sun is squaring the sun. It doesn't, I mean, obviously that happens to each person twice a year. But it's challenging. So I think anytime there's some sort of challenging aspect, a square, that hard 90-degree angle, it is difficult to move past that. Now, of course, we do, but as you get older and older and older, it gets harder and harder and harder. So, yeah, it's a tough question to answer because there is no like, well, when this transit happens, you're going to die. And it's so complex too, because where are your planets? And there's multiple planets that are transiting and squaring, and it's so complex.
I do think that if you want like a deeper answer to that question, like Scott's other podcast, The Uncharted Territories, they really go deep into someone's whole life history, but specifically the alignments around their death. And even though it's not like they're all the same, it really just goes through like the uncomfortable times in their life and how it led them to a premature death. Because a lot of the thing is like not following your North Node, and that may lead to addiction or bad choices that just lead to extreme stress or putting yourself in poor situations that are not best for your well-being. So I think that I didn't really realize how much you could learn from listening to that about astrology and these public figures. Like I'm not really a big history buff or like pop culture buff or anything like that. And just from editing the podcast, I just got actually really excited about all these public figures, and I learned a lot more about astrology. And even though it is surrounding their death, I feel like I've learned a lot about following your North Node from that podcast. So if you want to kind of bring yourself to life, like the opposite of death, I think looking at other people's lives and how they weren't taking care of themselves is a beautiful lesson. And there's a lot of good information in there into kind of diving a little deeper into those topics.
For sure.
Okay.
All right.
That's it for today. And
cool. Awesome. All right.
All right. Thank you so much, Scott. Thank you, everyone.
You're welcome.
Listening. And we will see you next week.
See you next week.
Thank you for listening to the Weekly Transit. Follow us on Instagram for daily updates about the planetary alignments and how to work with the energy. If this podcast is helping you navigate life more gracefully, please subscribe, rate us 5 stars, and share with your friends. If you're ready to go deeper, book a personal reading with Scott or sign up for his new moon, full moon class at theweeklytransit.com.
The Weekly Transit.